If you feel that the transition is still too big from 1 to 3, you can even just go to 2. But just keep this in mind. Always you want to progress. You always want to progress and you always want to move forward. Now, sometimes people can move forward fast, sometimes they move forward slow, but just as long as you're always moving in the right direction, that's the key. And eventually, even if you go a little slower, you'll get to the end. So when it comes to the zero willpower meals, you want to bump it up to 3, but if you bump it up to 2, that's still showing progress.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, obviously, I think going from 1 to 3 is probably the simplest, easiest way you could do to decrease your calories, but it does still require, you do still have to use some willpower. I think that when you're doing 3 meals a day, this is the first time you begin to become like really serious about the zero willpower eating system. And I know that if you're used to a lot of variety in your eating, it can kind of be a challenge. But just really keep your eyes on the prize. Get as many of those meals per day in as you can. Even if it's just 2 on some days.
Right.
And it really, really is going to pay off in your waistline.
And also in phase 2, now that you're going to visually see a lot more progress, you always want to make sure you're tracking your measurements. So don't forget to do that. And the reason why that's so important, again, is if you don't track your measurements and you don't track your progress, then you don't know if you're actually doing everything right. And if you do track the progress and you see, hey, I lost a couple inches, then even if you're kind of hung up on some of the things, hey, you know what, this is still a big enough change for me. For example, if you bumped up your meals from 1 to 2, even though it's not to 3, but let's say you lost 2 inches in the first 4 weeks, not too bad of a progress. So hey, I'm still on the right track, and you're doing fine. Now, let's say you decided, hey, I don't want to bump it up to 2. I think I'm just going to stay at 1. And you went ahead and measured and you realized that you didn't get much progress. Then you really want to go ahead and go back and look at those 3 things: the workout, the eating habits, and also the sleep, and find out, what's missing from there. So this way you can make the necessary changes so you can start progressing. So it's very, very important to constantly track your results on a weekly basis, because you don't want to go a month or 2 and go into phase 3 and realize, well, I haven't even gotten the results I was supposed to expect from phase 1.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, I think that's really key too, because in phase 1 basically they were measuring just to get in the habit, because there really wasn't going to be much waistline reduction. But
right.
In phase 2, you really have to expect a steady reduction in your waistline week after week, and you need that feedback, because if not, you could be screwing something up for 2 of the 3 weeks, and 2 to 3 weeks could really throw you off track.
And another thing to look for is the rest times are going to be decreased. So you want to make sure that you're tracking your rest times. Sometimes people get used to resting a certain amount, and even though they see the change in phase 2, they don't follow that. And just remember, everything is designed for a certain reason, and it's very, very important for you to now, at this point, decrease your rest times. So make sure you're tracking it at all the time. Bring a stopwatch or look at the gym, look at the clock on the gym to make sure that you're following that. I think another one would be they'll actually get a little sore now, like more sore in than phase 1. And the result of that is because you're now concentrating on individual muscle groups a lot more than just doing total body. Because when you do total body, everything is stimulated lightly. But now we're going into some pretty heavy breaking down your muscles. So you're going to feel a lot more sore, which is okay and expected. So kind of expect that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing which we've talked about too is that when I did this, and when a lot of other people did this too, a lot of my lifts actually went down in phase 2.
Yeah.
And I know that can trip a lot of guys up, especially if you come from the traditional
right.
bodybuilding mindset of always lift more, always lift more. How can guys kind of get over that? How can they remove that block in the head of always needing to lift more?
Well, just think about it this way. If your goal is to lift more, then you're not really looking to just build your body. You're really wanting to do something on the lines of powerlifting, something that actually tracks the amount of weight you lift instead of the way you look. So remember, because the goal here is to get six-pack, the goal here is to get the body that you want. So don't really worry about the amount of weight you lift. Remember, the weights, the gym, the machines, all that stuff, they're just tools. They're just tools to get you where you want to be. So that means if I can lift, let's say 20 pounds on each arm and curl like that, and I can get big bulging biceps, I'm just going to curl 20 pounds. So remember, that's the reason why you're working out. It's not so you can go ahead and lift a lot of weight and show off and stuff like that. It's all fun, but it's all about the results at the very end. So keep that in mind. That's a really good one. Yeah, because a lot of guys get that ego thing where it's like, I'm a little weaker. No, I'm just gonna go ahead and just stay heavy, and they end up getting a few reps in, injuries, things like that. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. And when they're doing that, they don't get the intended cardio effect of these supersets and the reduced rest, which is really what we're going for too.
Yeah, and that's actually another reason. That's actually why your body's going to seem to be getting a little weaker. It's because you're introducing supersets, and it's actually exhausting your muscles more. So it's actually a positive thing because we're working your muscles harder. So of course, it's not going to have the strength like it usually does to push the weight like you did in phase 1. But it's all part of the process, and you'll see a significant body fat decrease because of that.
Okay, so finally, we've talked about some of the pitfalls guys have to watch out for, but if they successfully complete phase 2, what kind of results can they expect?
Phase 2 is all going to be about visual now. You're going to visually actually see your body start to reduce. You'll see your waistline start to reduce, and that's actually a pretty exciting time because now in phase 2, the goals that you're going for, the leanness, the definitions, they're all starting to come out anymore. You're not just putting on, muscle now. You're actually starting to decrease, and you start to see the waistline measurement start to drop. Another one is your body fat is going to start to decrease, and what you may appear now is looking more muscular, but not bigger. A lot of times guys can't really tell the difference, but it's really okay. Just realize that the main thing to look for is you're seeing the decrease in waistline. I think one that guys get, but they don't really think about in the beginning, but you actually get a lot stronger functionally. And what we mean by functionally is functional movements are movements that you can use outside the gym. And if you think about it, when was the last time you had to do anything outside the gym to where you lay down and you press like this? Or you lay down and you press with your feet like a leg press? Or you had to stand and curl? They're not functional movements. Functional movements is, let's say I'm mowing the lawn, helping a buddy move, right? Lifting some furniture up. Those are functional movements, and you'll see that your strength is actually going to increase dramatically in the functional strength.
Yeah, so definitely. And I think, phase 2 is actually a really exciting time once you've completed it because for the first time you're revealing all the muscle that you built in phase 1. You're building quality muscle, so you're really seeing the visual results. And on top of that, I know probably a lot of you guys didn't get into this for the functional strength and the agility, but I have to say, you feel a lot better once you have it. I mean, there's been a lot of situations where, to be moved and, I'm hanging out with a girl and I have to lift it. And, my functional strength allows me to do that. Let me tell you, it's like, it feels really good to be able to do that. And it's worth a lot more than you think.
Yeah, I feel like a kid again. When you're so much stronger, you can jump around, you can move around with no discomfort at all. It's an awesome feeling.
And if you do any athletics, then you're going to see a very, very big difference in your athletic performance. I do jiu-jitsu and MMA, and a lot of the dudes and like even who wrestle competitively don't do this type of workout. So if you're doing this type of thing, then you're going to be stronger and your cardio is going to be better than them.
Definitely. So let's go ahead and review and make sure we got the key points. So remember, in phase 2, the main goal is to go ahead and burn body fat, and it's to go ahead and also reduce your waistline. Also remember, we're going to be increasing the meals. So you remember, you got to get to 3 meals on the zero willpower eating system. It's that time now. But again, if 2 is the most you can get to, don't worry about it, but really shoot for 3. That's going to be very, very important because you got to prep for phase 3 and phase 4. And the main thing is just continue to exercise, and we'll see you in the next segment.